Okay, we are back. Fantasy Savvy and my boy Josh at Hoop Visions, Faceoff Sports Network. We are 2 days away from the madness, the real madness, but we already got a little crazy madness with that Alabama State game.
How about them Tar Heels?
Full. Yeah, we're going to talk about them as well. Full court pass, ball gets bobbled around, guy puts it in, crazy ending. So the madness has started already. The Tar Heels obliterate San Diego State, make Mountain West look like shit once again. And San Diego State was the one team that actually has been repping that conference and actually has been winning in that conference, and they destroyed them. So Carolina, all the shit they got, supposedly there's rumblings they could be moving to the SEC that I'm hearing now with Belichick. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, Josh's Tar Heels get the job done. So guys, make sure you are liking, subscribing to the show. We're going to be going over most of the first round matchups. We'll probably, flip through, quickly on some of them, and then we'll go through the bracket. We'll drop our final four picks and our championship picks. And also we'll talk about some of the NBA prospects along the way. Josh is putting out an article on Faceoff Sports, breaking down each region. So check that out. That should be released tomorrow sometime, or early Thursday before everything breaks out, to get your last minute changes into your brackets. So that's pretty much it. Make sure you guys, again, like, subscribe to the show, hit that notification button. We got a ton of dynasty stuff coming out now. The NFL draft is next month as well. All right, Josh, let's get into it, man. What did you think about the Tar Heels tonight?
Oh, man, that was great. I love that all the talk about Carolina and how they shouldn't be in. That's like the most perfect thing that could have happened for us coming into this tournament, and have everybody saying we don't deserve it and all that stuff. It seemed to light a fire under the team, which love to see that.
Yeah, so they'll take on Ole Miss in the opening round on Friday.
Definitely not scared of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I think the door's open. Door's open for the Tar Heels here. This part of the bracket doesn't scare me at all. Like even Michigan State, Iowa State, like we've almost beat Michigan State earlier this year, and we're playing better than we were then. So, yeah, why not?
Carolina favored by 1.5.
No, I like it. I think we win. I'm putting us in the Elite Eight. I'm sold.
Yeah, Carolina's favored. And it's 11 versus 6. That game is going to be in Milwaukee. So we'll see how far Carolina can go. But a lot of good history of these teams in the first four. At least making it to the round of 32. And then a lot of times into the Sweet 16 as well. So
we got a banged up Iowa State squad as the 3 seed. They're missing a couple of their starters.
Yeah, Lipsy's going to be back.
Gilbert's out.
Yeah, Gilbert's going to be out. Lipsy sounds like he's going to be back.
He can't be 100%. He's been missing games, so I like our chances there.
Yeah, he's probably not 100%. You're right. I agree. I mean, it's wide open for UNC right now for sure. They could definitely make a nice little run. I mean, they could beat Marquette. They could beat New Mexico. I mean, they could beat Michigan State.
Yeah, I think we can and likely to do it. Shockingly, I mean, we got lucky that we're in a little part of the bracket where no one's got like great big men. I mean, New Mexico's big guy's pretty solid. He's a big dude, but like we got fortunate not to get put in any of these brackets with really dominant inside players, because that's where we're really vulnerable.
Right. Right. You don't hear any background noise on my end at all, right?
Nope.
All right,
sounds good to me.
All right. Yeah, because I got my headphones off. It's so late. I don't like to keep the headphones on when it's this late sometimes. And I also got my Vegas freaking night glasses too. Check these babies out.
Is that like for the screens?
Yeah, they block the blue light. This is like official shit. These are like fucking. Once we start making the picks, I'm gonna put these back on.
I like it.
Yeah, those are like the Vegas fucking. You're smoking cigars in the sports book fucking glasses there.
Sitting at the poker table.
Yeah, exactly. Poker table, exactly. All right, we had a nice game tomorrow. Another first four between Xavier and Texas. Interested to hear your thoughts on this one.
Mm.
I kind of like the over in this game. I think it's going to be a high scoring game, and I'm going to lean Xavier. So, interesting enough, these two teams played last year, I believe, in the tournament, and Texas beat them 83-71, or 2 years ago, rather, in the tournament. Xavier beat them 83-71, and they also played in 2019 in the tournament. And Xavier won. I mean, Texas won the first one 83-71, and Texas won the second one also in overtime 78-76. So,
Well, Xavier might still have a lot of the same guys from a couple of years ago. I know Texas is probably a whole new team, but
yeah, the 23 team. Yeah, no, I don't really see Xavier.
Fremantle is probably there, right?
He didn't play. He did not play in that game.
Yeah, he might have been
he was on the roster.
He got hurt.
Yeah, Texas is completely different. Obviously, Tyrese Hunter, he's on Memphis. He's banged up. Carr's gone. Dessou, he's gone.
Yeah,
Rice is gone. Yeah, a completely different team. But I'm going to go with Xavier and the over here. I think Xavier maybe gets a little bit of revenge. I'm going to go with the Big East here. I know Texas has a star player that you just took in our players pool, so I'll let you talk about this game real quick.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Johnson, he's the guy I have number 2 overall in my NBA draft list right now. And, I mean, they're playing really well. They've had a couple of huge wins recently. They're big. They're athletic. Tremont Marks on the team. Remember him?
Mark from Houston, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some talent. I mean, I like Xavier a lot too, so I'm looking forward to this game. It could go either way for me. I'm hoping Texas wins since I took Trey Johnson, but they are huge though, huge, athletic, long. And then Xavier has Conwell, who's just been a man on a mission lately, just going off. And they've been reeling off victories too, so it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, Xavier's been playing good basketball of late. They, were on a nice little winning streak before they lost to Marquette by 2. That was a great game. Conwell, I think he had like 30,
38 or something. He went
off. So yeah, it's gonna be a good matchup. So you're gonna take Texas. I'm gonna take Xavier.
Do you like 3 points?
It's 2.5. Xavier's given 2.5.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Texas just beat Texas A&M recently. They hung with Tennessee pretty well. They've beaten Vanderbilt and Mississippi State. I mean, just going through that gauntlet that the SEC is, I feel like really prepares you for anyone. And
yeah.
But like you said, Xavier playing great too. It's going to be must see.
How about the over? You like the over in this game?
I mean, I don't know. My over.
I'm looking at Texas. They put up 94 on Texas A&M, and they let up 89. Yeah. They scored 72 on Tennessee, and they allowed 83 to Tennessee. So, their defense, not really. Neither team is really good defensively. And Xavier.
How much did you say the over was?
151. I feel like this is gonna be like an 80 type game, something like that. 80-75.
Yeah, I mean those guards can really put up points. So
yeah. All right. So yeah, we'll make that. We'll jot that down. Josh is gonna go with Texas. I'm gonna go with Xavier and the over. All right.
I'll probably stay away from most over-unders for me. It's not my thing. I tried to go outside the box last week. I paid for it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just look at the past scores, and then I look at the metrics on the defenses, and then I kind of just make an educated guess. But I rarely take unders. I'm usually looking for overs.
Over is much more fun.
Yeah, and I feel like they're easier to identify as well. The unders, I very rarely like them, and then when I do pick them, they seem like they're sound, but at the end of the game, there's always like a million fouls. You never know what the
Yeah.
hell's going to happen.
And you get the benefit of overtime when you take the over. If it goes there, definitely
Right.
in your benefit.
Yeah, and plus in these type of tournament games, there's going to be a lot of fouling at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want any thoughts on Mount St. Mary's versus American?
I kind of like American. I like American better. It's tough to judge when basically the only part I've watched of any of those really small teams are the conference tournament, and the conferences are totally different. So, but
Yeah.
American looked pretty good to me.
American played UNC early in the year. They lost 107-55.
Exactly. We crushed them. So they're obviously not good.
They did beat George Washington, though, Atlantic 10 team.
Yeah, they got a big guy. I think his last name was.
They only lost by 5 to Virginia.
I think the guy's last name was Rogers, maybe, who I was watching, who was pretty impressive. They were playing Navy. Navy was real small, so he was a pretty big dude, and he was dominating those guys. I think that was his last name. A guy named Greg Jones also. I think it's Matt Rogers. He was looking real good. Put up 25 against Navy, 25 and 8. I'd go with American. I'd put a little wager on American. Mount St. Mary's didn't look very good to me when I watched them. So,
okay, all right. So we'll lean American there. All right. First game Thursday, 12:15, Louisville Creighton. This is going to be a great game. Big East versus the ACC. Louisville, of course, used to be in the Big East when Pitino was there. And then, years after that as well. But I like Creighton here, plus the points. And I feel like, one of these two teams, whoever advances, has a decent shot to knock off Auburn as well. But who do you like in this game?
It's tough. Louisville had 8 wins last year. They're one of the biggest turnarounds of the year. They won 27 games now, I think. So huge turnaround for Louisville. They're long and athletic. I kind of lean Louisville. I think they've got an advantage athletically. Creighton's got more tournament experience recently, but they lost some major players off of that team last year that made a Sweet 16 run, almost made the Elite 8, but they lost Trey Alexander and Baylor Shireman from that team. Still got Kalkbrenner and Ashworth, but they're going to need someone else to step up. That Jemiah Neal or Jason Green, 2 guys who, kind of inconsistent. One of them needs to step up and be that third scorer for them. And I just think, Louisville's got a few more options for me. I like Chucky Hepburn, Terrence Edwards, and Javon Hadley. I kind of lean Louisville, but this is kind of a toss-up game. The 8-9s usually are.
Yeah. Our boy Jamie, friend of the show, says sup. He says he has Ole Miss losing first round to Carolina.
I like that.
He says he used Ken Pomeroy bracketology analysis to set his bracket.
All right.
Good. Jamie, thanks for joining us today, man. Keep chiming in as we go through these games. Let us know who you got. All right. So are you gonna make Louisville official pick there? Or you just kind of
what's the spread there? 2?
2.5.
2.5. Yeah, small one on this one.
Yeah. I don't feel strong about this game either, but I'll take Creighton. But I do like Chucky.
We'll give a confidence level.
Yeah.
Low confidence level, but going with Louisville.
Yeah, we just say like 1 unit on this one. 1 to 5 units. We'll go 1 unit each here. All right. Next game on Thursday, Purdue versus High Point. Out of your I think you said you went to basketball camp there, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I went for like 3 or 4 years in a row. Our middle school basketball team and then high school basketball team went there. I got a runner-up in the 2-on-2 contest, a free throw championship. That's got some good accolades at the High Point camp.
Was that close to where you grew up at High Point?
Oh yeah, Greensboro and High Point basically the same place. So
okay.
I went to that camp. That school is way nicer now. They've spent so much money on that place. It's like a luxury school.
Wow.
The basketball team, they looked okay, but it's just a big step up to play somebody from the Big Ten. I'm not even that impressed with Purdue this year. I think they're a really great home team. Their crowd's rowdy, and when they play at home, they're a different team. But, they've got Braden Smith, they've got Fletcher Lawyer, they've got Kaufman Wren, bunch of tournament experience from last year making the finals. Obviously, a total different team without Zach Edey, but
Yeah.
I just think they're too big. High Point does have a little bit of size, but they're just don't think they're good enough to pull this off.
Yeah, I mean, High Point is a good offensive team. Ninth in the country in field goal percentage, 49th in field goals made. Purdue's defense is nothing to write home about, although they are 37th in 3-point percentage allowed. Purdue's offense 6th in field goal percentage and 13th in 3-point percentage, and then High Point's defense is kind of nowhere to be found. But High Point's I think they're on a 14-game winning streak. So, and they've pretty much dominated the Big South. So
they needed a big comeback in that championship game. Winthrop had them on the ropes. They were up pretty big in the first half, and then High Point actually put in their bench, and their bench came all the way back. They put a whole new 5 in there, and the bench came all the way back and won. So it'll be interesting to see if they play that bench a little bit more. I mean, they looked like they were better than the starters, so it was pretty interesting.
Well, that's always good when you have that type of depth.
And they started pressing full court, and I mean, if I were them, I would take a lot from that game and look to do that more.
Yeah, Purdue.
Braden Smith's a tough guy to press, but
yeah, Braden Smith, he's ultimate general out there. But I don't know about the rest of the guy. Like, they have like 3 guys that average double figures, and like if 1 or 2 of those guys is not making shots.
Yeah, I mean, I think Purdue is probably the most vulnerable 4 seed out there. So, if you're looking to pick an upset, that might be one where
they haven't played well down the stretch. They lost 4 straight, then they won 2 against UCLA and Rutgers. Then they lost to Illinois. They beat USC, big whoop, and then they got smashed by Michigan. So I like Braden Smith. Like, I feel like he's a point guard against a team like High Point opening round. Like, yeah, he could probably take care of business and get the W. But 8.5, I'm going to take High Point here. And I'd probably lean the over as well. How about with the 8.5? Would you still take?
Yeah, I definitely would not want to. I don't want to take Purdue in this game. Like, I was trying to find a reason to pick High Point, and I may, since I fill out so many brackets, I might sprinkle a couple in there just because I want to see them do it. But I don't believe they're going to win it. But crazier things have happened. Purdue, vulnerable team. They're not that impressive to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you want to take? Did you want to take High Point with the points, or just?
I kind of want to lay off that game, but okay. I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, and like I said, I'd probably lean the over. Neither team is good defensively. High Point could score. Purdue can score. So I mean, High Point's getting into the 80s pretty much every single game. The total is high though, 153.5, but I would lean the over. All right, next game up Thursday. I know you like this team. They are good offensively. I do question their defense, and it is a big spread. Montana Grizzlies, champions of the Big Sky, 130 on Thursday against Wisconsin, plus 17, over under 152. I like the over. I'm all over the over. I feel
kind of surprising to see such a big spread there, but
yeah, me too. Yeah. Me too.
But I mean, I the more I've watched of them, the less I like them. I mean, I did initially really like them, but they're small. It's just tough for these smaller teams against these bigger teams. When your biggest guy's like 6'7", and the other team's got 7-footers, and then they got John Tonje. It's tough for me to see him losing this game because he seems pretty determined, and he's a great player. I mean, and they don't have a big guy, so I could see him just beating these guys up, just getting to the rim at will, finishing up with no rim defense. But I think Montana's got some good players, but it's just a different step up. But I mean, crazy things happen in this tournament. That's a big spread.
Yeah, and you look at like Wisconsin, they played Illinois and they beat them by 21. Illinois is a good offensive team, so Montana is a good offensive team, but it kind of makes this spread make a little bit more sense. I just like the over. I just feel like Wisconsin, Montana's third in field goal percentage. Wisconsin's offense isn't the greatest, but they are 31st in 3 points made. First in free throw percentage as well. Montana's defense is just in the 200s pretty much. Field goal percentage, field goals made. And Wisconsin's defense is, they're not good at all. So I like the over. I like the over 151.5. I think that's a pretty strong play here. I kind of feel pretty good about that after watching Montana play, because Montana could definitely score. They got some athletes. They can get to the basket.
For sure. Yeah. You're talking me into it.
Yeah, I mean, that was the first thing I said when I watched Montana. I was like, all right, take the over in their first round matchup. The spread, they could cover it, but I'm just going to probably stay away. I probably would lean Montana, but, I could see Wisconsin definitely taking care of business.
Yeah, I definitely would not want to pick Wisconsin with that big spread, but
yeah.
I don't really want to pick
Jamie
Montana
says he's got Louisville beating Creighton, and he says, no way High Point wins.
I kind of agree.
Yeah. All right.
But I want to believe. I really do. I feel a connection to High Point. My dad lives right next to High Point.
Houston versus Edwardsville. I would say lean Edwardsville, because Houston doesn't really blow out teams, but this team is pretty terrible. So they could, but
it's hard for them to score.
Yeah, Houston could just win this game by 24, 25 and be happy, So I would lean the 16 seed there, actually.
Yeah, they'll probably just shut them down. Probably be very low scoring. I mean, it's gonna be hard for Edwardsville to score points in that one.
Over under is 126.5.
It's pretty low.
All right, another 116 matchup at 250. Auburn versus Alabama State, who obviously just had that crazy ass win. And I believe this guy, the head coach, was an assistant, they were saying, at Auburn for a few years. So any chance here? The spread is 31.5.
It's a lot of points. I mean, I like the athleticism of this team, but I mean, it's
31.5. Holy shit.
Auburn's not playing their best, but they got too many weapons. I would never take that team.
You know what? I may take Auburn here. I'll tell you why. Because they haven't been playing well down the stretch. And this is the game for Bruce Pearl to kind of get his team's confidence back. So maybe first half at least, maybe I would look at that. Second half, maybe, they rest some starters or whatever. But
yeah, that's probably a good idea. Maybe it'll be, if it's like a 15-point first half spread, that might
be 16, 17.
I can see them starting out real fast in this one.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to want to get off into a good foot because of the way they've dropped 3 of the last 4 games. And this is just a great spot to get their confidence back against Alabama State.
Yeah, if they can just jump on them right away and get up 10 or 15-0 and just break their spirit right away, then it could be a real good bet. You just can't let these little teams hang around. That's the problem. If you let them hang around for too long, then they start to believe. You got to just put them away early.
Right. And I mean, like Auburn, they blew out Ohio State by 40. They blew out Richmond by 40. They blew out Georgia State by 40. So they're certainly capable of destroying a team like Alabama State, who's obviously riding an extreme high, coming off, an emotional game. Now they got to go to play Auburn. So yeah, I think Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama State was a 5 seed in their conference tournament. So this is not a top program here.
I just want to look at these Creighton, Louisville in Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, they basically had a home game.
High Point Purdue is in Providence. Montana, Wisconsin is in Denver. So I guess it's a little bit, there's altitude in Montana, so a little bit better for Montana there.
Yeah, the Louisville one's very interesting, giving them a spot in Kentucky to play their games. They probably will have a lot of hostile fans there. If a bunch of Kentucky Wildcat fans show up just to cheer against them, who knows?
Yeah. Auburn's also in Kentucky. Houston's in Wichita. And the next game, I want to hear your thoughts on this one. This is going to be an interesting matchup. McNeese, Will Wade's team. It's got some athletes once again. That guy's Shamate, or did they have him on the team last year? Or did he come from another team?
Shoemate.
Shoemate, yeah.
Yeah, he was on there last year. I hyped them up last year. I thought they were going to do something. They went out and just got annihilated by Gonzaga, but and they were down like 30 at halftime or something.
Yeah, they played.
I remember I was sitting in the Harrah's Cherokee Casino. I had bet on them, and they just started getting crushed. And I kept going back and making a live bet for more, just maximum pain on that game. So I'm hesitant to put any money on McNeese going for it. I do love Quadir Copeland. He came from Syracuse. I'm surprised his stats aren't better because in the championship game of their conference, he looked like an NBA player. He was just out there dominating everybody. And I was like, but then you look at his game by game stats, and he's in single digits a lot, and you're wondering what's he doing on a regular basis when he's capable of going out there and dominating, but he doesn't do it with regularity. So I don't know. I think they're probably too small. They're up against Clemson, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean Clemson's got a lot of experience. They're big. They got a 7-footer in there. They got big guard Chase Hunter. Shefflin in there.
You kind of struggle to score, and McNeese has got 4 guys in double figures, and then Copeland averages 9, Charles averages 8, so they got a lot of different guys that could score.
Yeah, they certainly have a shot, but I definitely lean Clemson. I mean, I expect Clemson to come out a little better. They struggled against Louisville. They kind of turned it on late to make that game close in the semifinals of the ACC. But they've had a great year. I mean, they beat Duke, which not many people were able to do that. So that's pretty impressive. And Duke
I only saw Clemson down the stretch, and they didn't really look all that great to me. Hunter,
They lost a player, Dylan Hunter, who's actually the brother of Chase Hunter, and he got hurt not pretty recently, and that was a big piece for them. So that's a big part of why they're not playing quite as well as they were. But I still think they have enough to get by McNeese, but
spread is 7.5. Do you like Clemson minus the 7.5?
Yeah, I'll probably take Clemson low confidence pick.
All right, I'm gonna take McNeese. Yeah, like a 1 unit. I will give Josh Clemson. Okay. Total is 133.5 as well. Any thoughts on that?
It's pretty low, but it could definitely be a defensive battle. Both of these teams can.
Clemson's defense doesn't really show up too much. They're not really great statistically. And then McNeese's defense is actually ranked pretty high. Field goal percentage 28th. Field goals made 16th.
I feel like I like Clemson's D too. I mean, I think they could do all right. The under seems reasonable. I'm not going to be making too many of those bets. I got missed like almost all of them that I tried last time. So
I mean, Clemson has shut down a lot of the ACC teams. Like Florida State scored 46 against them, Virginia Tech 47, SMU 54.
Yeah, we had a hard time against them.
I would probably say lean under as well. I think I agree with you on that.
Yeah, they gave us a hard time. I think we only scored in maybe the 60s against them.
All right. Another good game here. 405 VCU versus BYU. BYU lost to an Atlantic 10 team last year in the first round. Duquesne, athletic team. The A10 definitely has some pretty good athletes. But you think now that BYU probably learns its lesson, and the other advantage here they have is the game's in Denver, so that the altitude they're used to. VCU from Richmond, they got to go. The Confederate capital. They got to go to freaking all the way from the east to Denver. I remember Seton Hall, Isaiah Whitehead when they played Gonzaga, and he went for like 1 for 17 in that game. And in Denver, he just could not make a shot. I mean, they just
different out there. But Houston really ruined my love affair for BYU after you're absolutely right about them struggling with physicality, and VCU is like a poor man's Houston. They play good. They beat people up. They're super physical, and they can struggle to score at times, which BYU can score a ton of points. usually, but like it's a similar type matchup as Houston, which concerns me. I still think BYU has, more offensive firepower, but after watching what Houston did to them, I'm a little worried for BYU because, I mean, VCU's got a lot of the same type of players. They're just very physical.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you could say is BYU got upset last year by an Atlantic 10 team. Now, maybe just good athletic teams, strong athletic teams can kind of beat them. I mean, Cincinnati beat them by like 22, but they're in Denver. I think that's a big advantage. And the spread's only 2.5, though. But VCU, good defensive team. Their defense is ranked 11th in field goal percentage, 7th in field goals made, 35th in 3-point percentage. BYU is 41st in 3-point percentage, 10th in 3 points made, but VCU is 12th in 3 points allowed. So it's very close there. But when I look at BYU, I feel like they've played, Iowa State. They beat them twice. They went to Arizona and beat them. So I feel like those are athletic teams too. And VCU, I just feel like they're going to be a little bit more focused after what happened last year. They'll be ready for this game. It's in Denver. So I'm taking BYU. I like VCU. Obviously, I used to go to Richmond a lot. I've been to VCU games. But I'm going to take BYU here.
So I think BYU really needs to play Keita more. He was like the one bright spot. He was the one bright spot against Houston. Like he was not overshadowed. He was out there, huge dunks.
Yeah, he was fired up. Yeah,
it's really weird that he's only playing 20 minutes a game. Like I can't really figure out why that's the case.
They rotate those two bigs. They don't really play many minutes for either of them.
Yeah, I think Keita needs to be out there. I mean, he's explosive. He's an NBA caliber player, in my opinion. I think they need that out there.
Jamie says he's got VCU upsetting BYU, and VCU only allows 62.4 points per game.
Yeah, I mean, they get up in your jersey. They're one of those teams that's just all over you, just so physical, and that's what BYU struggles with. Like, these teams that give them the space to move around and get open, like, they'll kill you if you let them do that, but they don't like that super physical play. And that the freshman, Igor Dimon, who, you'll see him pretty high on some mock drafts, but he does not like the physical play. He's really struggled against it at times this year, and like, I want to take BYU. I still have hope for them winning this game, but I hate the matchup for them.
Yeah, I think the matchup's going to be tough. But, again, I wouldn't underrate that freaking altitude factor.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They've got a great spot being close by to home, too. Yeah. The crowd should travel for them.
Yeah, VCU travels well, though. Yeah. I used to go to those Atlantic 10 tournaments, and they were always had the best crowd. Always.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean.
All right. Next game, Georgia, Gonzaga, 4:35. Gonzaga -6 against Georgia.
It's really good matchups.
Yeah,
it's really good first round matchup.
This game is in Wichita.
Okay.
Anything strong here for you?
I mean, Gonzaga's been playing much better recently. I feel like they looked really good in their championship game against St. Mary's. I mean, Khalif Battle for me is like their X factor. He's an NBA caliber talent that doesn't bring it every game. Like, it's like he's kind of inconsistent on.
Yeah.
But when he brings it, man, when he comes with the energy, they're a different team. But Georgia has a ton of talent too. I love Silas Demery. I took him in our draft. Asa Newell, he's lottery pick in a lot of people's minds. Georgia's got some athletes. They're big. It'll be an interesting game. I mean, I think Gonzaga is a more polished team. I think, they've got Mark Few, Hall of Fame coach. They've been deep in the tournament a million times, and Georgia really hasn't been in the tournament very often lately. So
yeah,
we'll see how big a role that plays. I think talent-wise, it's pretty close, maybe even edge to Georgia in just individual talent. But, the rest of the advantages go to Gonzaga. So,
yeah, Gonzaga not as good, but they started putting in who's the other big? Not Greg. Who's the other big that they got there?
Huff,
Huff.
Brandon
Yeah, they
Huff.
started putting him in the lineup more, and I think they're playing a
Yeah,
little bit better with him
yeah, a
in
lot
there.
of good big guys in that game. That'll be
Yeah.
interesting matchup.
Georgia's weird. Like they went through a stretch where they dropped four straight, then they lost, then they won, but then they lost another four straight, and then they went on this tear where they beat Florida, they beat up
Yeah,
Texas, they beat Vanderbilt, and then they lost to Oklahoma. So it seemed like
see,
a little bit of a streaky team.
beating Florida stands out to me. I mean, that is super impressive.
Yeah.
Florida, as you know, we've both said we think they're probably the favorite, or at least one of the favorites to win this whole thing. And
Yeah.
if you're able to beat Florida, you're doing something right. So, I mean, another team that's different at home, though. I mean, some of these teams are just totally different when they're at home. Crowds on their side, play much better. So, I don't know. I think Gonzaga is the better team overall. I kind of like the talent level of Georgia more. So it's
So you think you like Georgia to cover this game?
I mean, if I had to pick, I probably would do that. But
Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one for me. The total is 149.5. I would probably, yeah, Gonzaga first in field goals made, second in field goal percentage, third in free throw percentage. Probably would lean over if anything for sure.
I think
Here.
Gonzaga definitely has much better teamwork. It just looks prettier when they're playing. They've played together a lot for a long time. These guys have made runs. Last year they were at least Sweet 16, right? I mean, they crushed Kansas last year. I remember thinking that was gonna be a good game, and they just destroyed them.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be confident taking Georgia certainly. I probably would just lay off of that game because.
Yeah, I would, if anything, I would just take the over.
Okay, yeah.
All right, Tennessee versus Wofford. Tennessee minus 19. Tennessee not a team to really blow teams out. I don't know if you know anything about Wofford.
They can really shoot it, man. They got a ton of 3-point shooters, but can they get open is the question. I mean, Tennessee just has an amazing defense, and these little guys that they're not the fastest guys in the world, and they're not big. So I don't know that they can get open to hit these shots, but they got a lot of good shooters. So if they can somehow find a way to get open, they might be able to hang around. But I have a feeling Tennessee is just going to put the clamps on them and just give them nothing. It's going to make it pretty hard.
Yeah, Tennessee is first in field goal percentage defense, ninth in field goals made, second in 3-point percentage, and 234. Wofford is 234 in 3-point percentage.
Yeah, I mean, I think these SEC teams, I mean, they've been through it, having to play just top team after top team after top team, and then they just go and see a team like Wofford. You just think they're just going to gobble them up because, I mean, should theoretically be easy compared to what they're used to. But like I said, they got a chance of a just ridiculous 3-point shooting. If you hit enough of those, you can pull an upset. That's how these little teams do it. So they're going to have to shoot the lights out, and it's hard for me to envision them getting good enough looks at the basket to be able to do that.
What do you guys want? My kids are knocking at the door. What do you want? They want to buy a movie. What? It's freaking 1:21 in the morning. You guys got to go to bed.
I love it. Night owls like me. It's prime time.
God. Well, they got spring break, so they're off all week.
Nice.
I whatever. Yeah, buy a movie. How much is it? No, not 25. Forget about that.
That's a lot.
No, anything under 10 you could buy. Oh my God.
Starting a movie at 1:20 a.m. I love it.
Yeah, because I'm trapped here. I'm doing this show so late.
Yeah, you can't even say no.
Otherwise, I'd put their ass to bed.
You can't even do anything over here.
All right. So, yeah, nothing real strong there. Let's move to the next game. Great game here. 7-10. Kansas versus Arkansas. They're trying to set up that Calipari-Patino matchup in the second round. Who you going with here? I'm leaning.
I don't think they're gonna get it, but It's certainly possible. Kansas has not been your usual Kansas this year. They look like old and slow sometimes, and just I don't know. But Arkansas to me is so inconsistent. They're young. They haven't played together much. Some games they look great. I mean, they look like they can go out and beat a lot of teams, and then the next game they show up and just get blown out. I hear Boogie Flan's coming back for them
Yeah.
for this game.
I
So
saw that Calipari was saying, he's probably not going to play too much right away. They want to try to groove him back into the lineup, but supposedly they weren't. They were like 0-5 in the SEC when he was the starter.
Yeah, which is weird. I mean, I think he will be in the NBA one day. He's super talented, but a lot of these guys, they come into college where they just easily dominated everybody in high school, and they're not really used to playing real basketball, where there's people who could actually compete against them, and he seemed to struggle to adjust a little bit. And I mean, they have a lot of young guys, so they didn't seem to gel very well. They seemed to, found something there for a while, but then Adu Thiero got hurt, and I think he's going to be out.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think it's going to be tough for Arkansas in this game. I kind of expect Kansas to win, but it's not impossible. If Arkansas puts together a great game, they're certainly capable of winning, but I just think the odds of that are pretty low.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean Arkansas. I feel like they'll put up a fight. Again, Kansas to me, Dickinson and Wagner. I mean, those guys. I like KJ Adams, but
I took him, KJ Adams in the pool.
Yeah, that was a good pick actually.
Pretty late. It was one of my last picks.
And Mayo is starting to heat up for them, which is big.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the last runs for these guys. I mean, this is their last year, right? They've all been there for like 20 years. So
yeah, that is true. This is like their last run. That is a good point.
Yeah, I kind of think that. I mean, Arkansas is young. They don't really have seniors who are super motivated to. I don't know. I kind of lean Kansas here.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Arkansas. You want to take Kansas?
Yeah, I took Kansas. What is it? 4 points?
4.5. Yeah.
I'll take Kansas here.
Over under is 146.5.
Could see a lot of points here. Neither defense is great.
Yeah, Kansas 15th in field goal percentage. That's pretty good. 44th in 3-point percentage. Yeah, but Arkansas's defense is they're pretty terrible actually.
I'm definitely a fan of Bill Self over Calipari too as a coach. So obviously Calipari, amazing recruiter, but I've never thought that highly of him as an in-game coach. But
yeah, he always gets the credit for the recruiting.
Yeah, which he's obviously great at. That's a big part of it. If you can get all the best players,
I mean that's probably
the big advantage.
That's probably I mean that's probably the biggest thing. But you gotta obviously you gotta be able to coach those guys up as well. But they like Kansas let up 94 to UCF and 88 to Arizona last game. I think this is an over. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll the over. Let's roll the over on that one too.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with it.
Okay. 140.
Should have bet the house on Carolina tonight. Man, I really missed an opportunity to go huge.
Jamie says he's got Tennessee going to the Final Four, and he put Arkansas as the winner, but losing next round.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think Tennessee, Houston are on a collision course to play for that Final Four spot, and I mean, they're very similar teams. Two just great defensive teams. It's going to really come down to just who shoots it better that day.
It'll be Uzan versus Gainey, whoever drains more shots.
And I like Uzan if it comes down to that matchup. I think Uzan's an NBA player. I don't think Gainey will make it. So,
yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, Yale versus Texas A&M. Yale beat Auburn in the first round last year. They look good again. This game is in Denver as well. Texas A&M, Wade Taylor, I think they're a little over-relying on him. He's not making shots. They can kind of get in trouble. So I'm going to go Yale plus 7.5 here. Total is 140.5. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting matchup. The Ivy League always seems to put up a fight here in the tournament. They usually come in as a 14 or 15 seed, and they've pulled off a bunch of wins. I mean, they beat, who was it last year? Auburn they beat last year. I think Arizona lost to Princeton or something the year before that. Like,
Yeah,
these
the Ivy
guys tend
League
to
is
pull
always making
upsets.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very smart. They move the ball well. They've got shooters all over the floor. This guy, John Polakaitis, just looked great watching their conference championship. My boy Bez Imbing that I mentioned last time.
Yeah, I took him in our draft
I
tonight.
think that Texas A&M has a chance to overwhelm them athletically. I mean, I think they've got much more size and athleticism, speed. It's one of those things where they need to look to speed up the pace, press, just jump on them, pound it inside. I mean, if they do that, they should be able to win, I think. But, Yale, they're a smart team. They probably know what their strengths are. They need to keep this a slow game and frustrate Texas A&M and knock down a bunch of threes. So, I mean, I picked some Texas A&M guys. I've got Texas A&M in the Sweet 16. So, uh, I tend to lean towards the athleticism in these matchups just because they have the ability to just completely overwhelm them to the point where they can't get shots off and can't get rebounds. Like you're kind of forcing them into having to shoot it really well from the outside to win, and that's tough. But like you said, they are kind of over reliant on Wade Taylor. I
Yeah.
think they've got. He sometimes starts taking bad shots when it's not going well.
Yeah.
So it's.
All right. So you're going to take Texas A&M minus the 7, or you don't really feel strong about it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't love it, but I think they'll win the game for sure. I think I did a bunch of parlays with them just to win the game.
All right.
But
All right.
they got big guys inside. They got Henry Coleman. They got this guy Pharrell Payne, who I took in the player pool, who's really coming on strong lately. So they've got these two big guys. They just need to pound it inside, and I mean, they should be able to take care of business if they do that. But if they play stupid and Wade Taylor's out there jacking up threes and taking bad shots, they could definitely lose this game.
All right. Another interesting game. 7:35. Drake, Missouri Valley. It seems like Drake doesn't really have a lot of success in the tournament. They always seem like they lose in their first round matchup. But the
It
Missouri
seems like
Valley as a
everyone
whole has a
always
lot of
loves
success.
them. Seems like everyone always loves them too. Like
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
picks them to win, and
Well,
then they
it's the
don't.
Missouri Valley. They've had a lot of success, and this team did win 30 games with this brand new coach because the DeVries, he left for West Virginia. This new coach comes along, wins 30 games. So yeah, very good. Drake is a very good defensive team. First in field goals allowed, fourth in field goals made, fifth in 3 points made, sixth in 3 points allowed or attempts. Missouri's offense, though, fourth in free throws made, 18th in field goal percentage. Drake's offense, 21st in field goal percentage. Missouri's defense really is pretty terrible. They're not in the top 100 in anything. So I'm going to lean Drake here. I feel like Drake's going to finally maybe get off the schneid and pull the upset, but 30-win team, they're kind of boring to watch. But that's the way these Missouri Valley teams win. They just win old school basketball, and I think they cover the spread and maybe get the win here. What do you think?
All right. Well, it seems like we're taking opposite sides on some games. I do love Bennett Sturts. I mean, he's the point guard for Drake. But I think these statistics, like with the defense, is more a function of their conference just having a bunch of teams can't score because when I was watching them play Bradley couldn't put the ball in the basket for the life of him. And, Bennett Sturts just took that game over late.
Honestly, when I watched Drake, I wasn't too impressed with them.
No, and Missouri, I think, is kind of underrated. They got some big dudes. They're athletic. They like to pressure you. So, yeah. I mean, that could cause some problems for them. They could just I could see them overwhelming them with their size and athleticism, which, it's another one of those type of matchups where who's going to control the tempo? Because if Drake can make this a really slow game and frustrate Missouri doesn't shoot it well, that's how these upsets happen. But
right.
I mean,
Drake did beat Vanderbilt on a neutral court, and they did beat Kansas State on a neutral court.
Yeah, so they're certainly capable. I've got Missouri going through. I'm not sure if I had them winning 2 games or not, but I like Missouri. They're kind of lacking a star player, which kind of limits their ability to go too deep. But I like Missouri.
Jamie says, do you think Gonzaga has a chance to knock out Houston in the second round? I mean, yeah, that's an interesting matchup.
I do. I do think they have a chance, but I mean, Houston is just so physical. I hate betting against them because they just beat you up. And Gonzaga, they're battle tested, but they don't play teams that play like Houston with any regularity. The kind of physicality they bring is just different than what Gonzaga is used to facing in their conference. And Gonzaga always has a great schedule every year, so they play some of the top teams. But
They did lose to St. Mary's twice this year, though.
That thought went in my head that I wanted to pick Gonzaga to knock out Houston, and then I was like, wait a minute, Houston just completely dominated BYU.
I'm not
They
picking
just
against
destroyed.
Houston.
Yeah, they just destroyed BYU, which I kind of put them more similar to Gonzaga, and that they're great ball movement. They shoot it. You got some shooters, but when they get met with this physicality, it's different. I don't see Houston losing.
And Max says, got Michigan beating Auburn to get a higher seed in my Elite Eight. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, Michigan's playing pretty well, and they've got one of the best front courts in the country with Annie Wolf and Golden in there too, like 7-footers. So yeah, I mean, they've certainly got a shot. It's going to be another one of those things where they got to control the tempo, slow it down. They don't want to try to get in a track meet with Auburn.
I don't hate it.
They don't have the same kind of – Auburn's much more athletic, and so they don't want to be running up and down with them. But if they slow it down, pound it inside, I mean, get Janai Broome in foul trouble, sure, they've got a shot.
I mean, Michigan, they dropped 3 straight before the Big Ten Conference tournament, and then they went on that winning streak. But yeah, Golden and Wolf is a nice front court combo. Obviously, it's really tough to deal with, but I do think Auburn would beat them. But I don't hate it. I think not a lot of people are going to pick that. A lot of people are picking UC San Diego to knock them out, actually, because that's another 12-5. But I don't hate it.
So who would they got Texas A&M in the second round, right? Assuming
or Yale, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough matchup for them as well. I mean, it's the athleticism of Texas A&M. They're a very physical team also. So,
Jamie says Kendrick Lamar isn't going to let Drake win. And Max wants to know our thoughts on St. John's.
Love them. They're playing amazing.
We're going to talk about them right now because that's the next game on the board, I think. Here, let me see.
Yeah, I love St. John's. They're playing really good defense. They just go on these huge runs. I mean, they've kind of come out slow a lot of games, and they'll fall behind a little bit early, and then there's just a point in the game where they just completely take over. And I mean, they just ran. Was it Creighton they played in the championship? Just ran them off. I mean, just went on a huge run. The Garden was going nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, I love R.J. Lewis and Zuby Ejiofor and Kadari Richmond. I mean, they got some guys.
Yeah.
I've got St. John's in the Elite Eight playing Florida, which that's gonna be a tough game.
Yeah, I love St. John's too. Pitino obviously is a Hall of Fame coach. What he did in 2 years there, completely turned the team around. They took out UConn, the back-to-back champion. So yeah, Kadari Richmond, man, he is just so smooth. Lewis is playing. I mean, Lewis is starting to bang threes, or they're starting to hit more threes, and they're just tough defensively. So well coached. They play hard, just like Houston. Their effort level is going to be top notch. So I think they will meet up with Florida, and I think they're Pitino. Obviously, you got to give him the coaching advantage over Taj Golden. And did you hear the rumors like that he's like a peeping Tom? Did you hear about that?
Who, Golden?
Yeah. He's like following girls around campus.
Yeah.
Yeah, supposedly. That was early in the year, but I don't people
peeping Tom.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that term in a while.
I know. My friend texted me that the other day, so that's why I used that. Yeah. But yeah, basically he's like a stalker, I guess. He's like a creep, I guess, I don't know. I guess he saw a couple beautiful girls. Maybe he fell in love. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there.
Oh
Went
yeah,
to
yeah,
Florida. I went to the Florida State footballs. I get it,
yeah.
but
But yeah, I think those two teams will match up. Jamie says he's got St. John's going to the Final Four, losing to Auburn. Max says me as well, but to Michigan State. And he says, I feel like St. John's is a great type team for March. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I mean, I love them, but I mean, I love Florida a little bit more. I think it's going to be tough to keep up with Florida's scoring there. Florida's offense just looks so good to me that I think it's going to be hard for anybody to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, if St. John's could come somehow, lock them down. But yeah, they just got those four bigs and those four guards, and just relentless. And Clayton and Richard just bang shots like it's nothing. I mean, it's just
Yeah, I mean,
constant.
and they can just go like 10 deep too. I mean, they just got
Yeah,
a
yeah.
deep bench, and they're all good. They're all playing well. It just looks easy for them right now. So, I mean, they're my favorite for sure. But and if Duke's healthy, I think Duke's the second best team, or full strength. I'd love to see that matchup. But St. John's, right there, like you said, if they play super physical, try to beat them up and throw them off. Maybe they'll have a bad shooting night.
Yeah, but St. John's is playing Omaha, a 19.5 spread. I would go if anything, I'm taking St. John's. There's no way I could take Omaha in that game. But I guess the one thing you could say is maybe St. John's off the high of the Big East tournament. Maybe maybe they have a little bit of an opening letdown. It is possible, but you don't expect that from or like a Kelvin Smith type team.
Yeah, and I mean Omaha. The first time I watched them play, immediately they've got two really good players that jump out at you. This guy Markel Sutton and J.J. White. Markel Sutton's averaging 19 points a game, 8 rebounds. J.J. White averaging 14. Those guys are impressive, but their defense was not impressive. They were just kind of standing around. I mean, you can't do that against a team like St. John's. You can get killed. So hard to see Omaha winning the game, but you can see St. John's completely locking them up.
Yeah, total is 147.5, but nothing strong there. All right. Next game up, Utah State, who always seems to lose in the first round. And we just saw the Mountain West get obliterated by North Carolina tonight. Not taking anything away from North Carolina, but the Mountain West is, they really haven't had a lot of success other than San Diego State. But Utah State, I don't even know if they've ever won a tournament game. It seems like they always lose. First round, they always make the tournament. I'm going UCLA here, -5.5. I think UCLA grinds them out and takes care of them.
I like UCLA too. Just too big a difference when it comes to the speed and the athleticism. It's just different level. I mean, UCLA hasn't been playing all that great this year, but they got. I just expect them to overwhelm Utah State.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think Utah State's that good.
This conference just doesn't have the same caliber athletes. They're just not.
Yeah, like they have one or two guys. Like Colorado State has that Nick Clifford. He's definitely legit.
Yeah, he's a beast. But then you look at their other four guys, and they're like me. They're like me out there, like 5'10".
Exactly.
It's hard against
Utah State's got the Cobra Kai guy. Did you see that guy with the headband on?
He was just losing his mind out there like the whole game. He looked like he's going to kill somebody. Yeah, my girlfriend actually commented that he's definitely murdered somebody before. She said he beats women. He definitely beats women. That's what she said. Just from watching him play.
Oh man, that's crazy.
I was like, that's hilarious. But
Utah State is 8th in field goal percentage. They are 35th in 3-point percentage, but UCLA 16th field goals made, 7th field goals allowed. UCLA's offense 59th in field goal percentage. But yeah, let's go with Mick Cronin and UCLA.
Yeah, I think if they show up and play with effort, they're going to win this game easily. It's a matter of
2 night games here. Good one here. Michigan versus San Diego, University of Cal San Diego. KenPom has them in the top 40. I think they're 44th maybe overall. So that's pretty high for
this one. This one makes no sense to me. I was shocked when I saw that spread so small. It's like 2.5 points. I was like, is this a joke? because I've watched them and they look like they're going to get annihilated to me. They look small, not athletic. Like, they pass the ball well and shoot it well, but like when the people guarding you have a 6-inch height advantage at every position, like it's really difficult to play basketball. I don't know how many people have played in that situation where you're just playing against guys that are way bigger than you, way more athletic than you, and it's suffocating. I expect that to happen here. Like Michigan's got those huge guys inside, and San Diego's tiny, and I don't know how they're going to get a rebound. Like
their best player, the conference player, there, is he like 6'6"?
I'm not even sure, but their team was just small. And I was just thinking, like, I have no idea how this team is going to get a rebound against Michigan. Like, they're just
Tate
their best player.
Tate Jones.
6'6".
He's the conference player,
and he might be the tallest guy on their team. I mean, what are they going to do with the 2 7-footers inside?
That guy Gray was banging threes. Hayden Gray in the championship game. I mean, the thing about this team is they're 30-4, and they've won I think they're on like a 20-game winning streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, like 18 games in a row. This conference, though.
Yeah, they haven't played anyone. They lost to San Diego State.
This conference, they never win. Like, I think Irvine made a run one time, but that was about it. Maybe Santa Barbara. It's not a terrible conference, but they just didn't really have a lot of success. The only good win they really had was at Utah State. They won by 2, which isn't bad. They lost to San Diego State by 5 to open the season.
Yeah, they lost to San Diego State, who just got beat by 40 against Carolina. And, I'm tempted to just put a ton on this game because I just don't see how this is close at all. I'm shocked by the spread. I feel like I'm missing something here because – to me, Michigan should be favored by close to 20. So I don't know.
Wow, 20?
I expect it. I expect an absolute blowout here.
Wow.
I just don't. I don't know how they can get rebounds. Like it's impossible. Right? They got their biggest guy's 6'8". Michigan's got multiple 7-footers, and they're just way slower, way less athletic. Like I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really. I mean, I watched them. They were like in both their last 2 conference tournament games. They were like tied at the half, and then they blew it open. They started banging a bunch of shots.
But all these teams they're playing are just like them. It's like they're not playing these big teams with 7-foot players and super athletes.
They're good statistically, a good defensive team. 8th in field goals made, 21st in field goal percentage. But Michigan's got that unique combo with Wolf and Golden, and then Donaldson's a really good guard as well. So I mean, the only thing you could say is, again, Michigan wasn't really playing well leading up to the conference tournament. They dropped 3 straight, but then they won 4 straight and 3 straight to win the whole thing.
Yeah,
they couldn't score in that conference final, but those 2 teams were kind of dead at that point.
Yeah, it's kind of the problem with statistics, though, is they've got these great statistics, but they're against all these terrible teams. And it's like Michigan's playing top teams all the time, and so the stats are going to be skewed because
I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I don't see how this game is close. Like I'm shocked by the spread. I feel like it's free money. I feel like someone's played a joke on me. So
I don't know. I'm not. I don't feel strong either way. I don't know what I'm going to do in this game, but I do like Michigan's bigs. I think they're different, and I don't know if Cal San Diego's going to be able to deal with that.
I mean, this is my biggest bet of the first round. So
all right, nice. We'll see.
Most confident. And I don't even love Michigan that much. It's just I've seen both teams play. I've seen both teams play, and I just see how small and unathletic, UC San Diego is. And I mean, the size advantage is just going to be way too much, I think.
Max says he has Ole Miss beating Iowa State to get into the Sweet 16, so he's got Ole Miss beating your Tar Heels there.
Yeah, I mean,
he says, and what if any double-digit seeds do you have in the Sweet 16? Been one every year for the last 16 years.
Well, let's see. Who do I have here? Well, the Tar Heels for one, number 11 seeded North Carolina, which if you got Ole Miss,
Yeah.
you're not gonna have that. But I like Carolina. I kind of like the Texas Xavier winner. I think is gonna have a good opportunity to get there.
I agree. One of those teams could definitely beat Illinois.
Yeah,
sure.
but besides that, I think it's going to be kind of tough for these smaller teams, But like you said, I think
Once the
VCU.
madness starts, it could just get crazy.
I think VCU has a shot to get there. They got a tough game against BYU though. Then they'd have to beat Wisconsin, but I think they're good enough to get there.
Possibly Liberty, maybe.
Yeah, Liberty. I love Liberty's game. They pass the ball really well. They shoot it well, but again, it's the size that's going to be the problem. Oregon's got a 7-footer in there. Nate Biddle, he should have a field day because Liberty's biggest guy is probably like 6'8".
Yeah, but the size, like think about Baltimore, Maryland. They beat freaking Edie and Purdue 6-1. So it's not always the size.
They put Edie in the blender in that game. They just got him out of position.
They must have stripped him like 97 times in that game, right?
Yeah, but Oregon, they're a solid team. A lot of size.
He never really loses in the first round. He always seems to advance too.
And then Arizona, I think, would be a really bad matchup for Liberty. So I think it would be tough. They would kind of need Akron to pull the upset, I think, which is possible. I like Akron, but again, they don't have the size. As much size as Arizona, so it's going to be hard.
Yeah, I don't really have a strong double-digit seed. I would say I agree with the Texas Xavier winner. And also Carolina. I think, obviously those first 4 teams always seem to make it into the second weekend.
And after watching Carolina tonight, I'm much more confident after watching Carolina tonight than I was coming into the game. I was questioning who I was going to pick out of there, and now it's no question for me. I'm taking Carolina, and I'm going to put Carolina in the Elite Eight.
Max is thinking of hopping on UNC, but SEC is just on a whole different level this year. And that is true.
I agree. The top teams certainly are. I think Ole Miss is more a middle of the pack SEC.
Yeah.
So, and they, they're solid, but definitely beatable, I think.
And then he says High Point or McNeese. Yeah, I could see either a High Point or McNeese getting into the second weekend.
Yeah, that little portion of the bracket.
Something's crazy is going to happen. Maybe Troy comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, somebody's going to do it every year.
One of these teams that nobody's really talking about is just going to surprise everybody.
You got Yale there.
Yale's another one. Yeah,
they could have a shot at it. Who else? New Mexico. Maybe.
Yeah,
you can make an argument for a few of these teams, but.
New Mexico definitely could. They got the talent. They got the guard and Dart. Dent.
Donovan Dent. Yeah, if he goes off for 30, and they've got the Junior Joseph in there, big man. He could, if he brings it, hasn't been as dominant as I would like him to be. But
Max says, "All right, have a good night. Best of luck in the tournament. You too, man. Thanks for the questions. Some good questions you asked. Thanks for joining us, man. Make sure you subscribe, and hit that notification button. Appreciate it, man." By the way, you can follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. You can follow Josh on X at Hoop Visions if you guys got any questions about the tournament. And, because we're kind of giving feelers here. But I think, by the time Thursday comes, we'll have some stronger picks. So if you guys want to hit us up, definitely
One more possibility, Grand Canyon. Last year they got a win.
Yeah,
I don't particularly think they're going to make it, but they've got a tough matchup with Maryland and then potentially Memphis.
Max says he dropped it. He did subscribe in case I need more advice. Yeah, we'll be back too, man. We'll be back next week to break down the first round.
Yeah, and I'll have a bracket cheat sheet out too, so look for that.
Check that out. Yeah, check out the cheat sheet by region. Josh is releasing. That should be out tomorrow sometime or early.
It'll probably come out. I'll have at least one of them out tonight on my site, which is hoopvisions.blogspot.com. I don't post much, but I try to post a little bit of my work every year, and I'll be posting that tonight, at least one region, maybe 2, and then it'll also be on Faceoff and
Faceoff, fffaceoff.com and hoopvisions.blogspot.com.
Yep.
All right, cool. All right, thanks, Max, again, man. Appreciate it. All right. Next game, last game of Thursday, UNC Wilmington versus Texas Tech. Do you know anything about UNC Wilmington? Because I don't know shit about them.
Yeah, I mean, I like them. I've watched them play. They're a solid team. They've got some size. They've got some good quick guards. But Texas Tech, they're a very good team. They're banged up though, which is providing a little opportunity for them. Darren Williams and Chance McMillan both banged up. I think they're both going to try to give it a go, but it's been obvious that they're not at full strength. I mean, luckily for Texas Tech, they've got a lot of reinforcements. They've got Christian Anderson, who's been playing great, freshman guard. Got JT Toppin, who's player of the year in the Big 12. Going to be a tough game for UNCW.
UNC Wilmington. This is a good conference. The Colonial Athletic is a good conference, and they've only lost one game since the middle of January.
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely have a shot for sure.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not going to pick them. I'm going to go with Texas Tech because I just think they're just too good. It's like I do like UNC Wilmington. They're if they would have played Purdue, I probably would have taken UNC Wilmington. Like it's the matchups. I feel like for the really good small teams, didn't really get the matchup they needed to win. If they were at Purdue, I would have taken them. But Texas Tech, it's tough. It's a tough game, but they got a shot, I think.
Yeah, their defense doesn't look the best. Like statistically, their defense is like not even the top hundreds in anything except for free throw percentage or free throws made. But besides that, their defense is nowhere to be found. Texas Tech's defense is 3 points made 20th, 3 points allowed 36th. Yeah, 15.5. I think Texas Tech, they're just battle tested in the Big 12. I feel like they'll take care of business here. But that is an impressive winning streak, and it is a pretty good conference with pretty good athletes. So, I mean, they could battle.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're certainly capable of pulling off an upset, but they've got the right circumstances coming together here with the injuries for Texas Tech, and UNC Wilmington's got a 7-footer inside. He's not great, but he's big body in there, which he'll be the biggest guy on the floor. So they've got a shot at it.
All right, so you're gonna take UNC Wilmington with the points?
Low confidence.
All right.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna take. I think the over. I kind of like in that game too. 143.5. So UNC Wilmington. Josh is gonna do a 1-unit job on them. 1 plus 14.5. And I
just think the beginning of the game is so important for these smaller teams. They gotta come out fast, take a lead. Put some fear into these teams.
Oh yeah, I mean that is such a big thing in these tournament games. These and you get these underdogs, and then all the pressure in the world is on these teams because they're supposed to win, and then they go, and then
Yeah, UNCW. That's got the guy's last name is Montgomery. He's a really good player. Really impressed with him. I mean, they've got some talent.
All right, first game on Friday, 12:15, Baylor versus Mississippi State. I'm going with Baylor. I feel like Hubbard. I love. I think he's legit, but I feel like he's like he was 3 of 14 in that conference tournament game, and they lost. Like he could just take too many shots. They're kind of over relying on him as well, and I feel like Baylor, VJ Edgecombe's going to want to have a good showing here for the draft. They got a lot of experience with Omier and Roach and Jaden Nunn, and their coach won a national championship, Scott Drew. So yeah, I'm going to take Baylor here +1.
Yeah, I mean these 8-9s are really tough. I mean they're usually pretty dead even. They're usually both not playing at their absolute best. And, I mean, this is not one of those games. For me, it could go either way. I love Keyshawn Murphy for Mississippi State, and I think Riley Kugel could be an X factor because this guy has tons of talent. He's an NBA-level talent, but he just does not bring it with the effort consistently. Like some days you won't even notice him out there, and then other days he looks like the best player on the floor. So which Riley Kugel will show up is the question for me because I really like Mississippi State sometimes, but they're just not consistent. And Baylor, they haven't had their best year either. I like Norchad O'Meara in there. Like you said, VJ Edgecombe's starting to play better here towards the end of the year. They've had him in the top 10 all year long, which up until recently, I would have said I wouldn't be taking him in the top 10. But now, I mean, you can see the tools are there. You see the athleticism. But, I mean, he started taking the game over against Texas Tech after they were down like 15, and he just started going off, and they made it close. But I'm probably laying off this game. I don't know what to expect from either one, really, especially Mississippi State. I mean, I feel like they're a talented team capable of a lot, but they don't always show up.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over, too. I feel like it's going to be a lot of points. 144 and a half is the over. That game is 12:15 in Raleigh, North Carolina.
All right.
All right. Next game, Robert Morris versus Bama. I think if anything, you're taking Bama here. Minus 23 and a half.
You can't take Robert Morris here.
No.
Absolutely can't take them. This could be a massive blowout. I mean, even with Grant Nelson out, he's obviously a very good player for them, but Alabama's super deep. They've got plenty of guys to take his place, especially for a team like Robert Morris. And too big, too athletic.
Robert Morris is probably going to get blown out here.
Oh yeah, it's probably gonna be bad. I'm tempted to take Alabama in this game because
you want Bama in there?
They can really put some points on the board.
You're going to take Bama too?
Yeah, sure. I don't usually like to take big spreads like that, but this is a time where, I feel like people are underestimating Alabama because of the injury, and I just think they can plug in some more guys, so they'll be fine.
All right. Next game, Lipscomb versus Iowa State. Iowa State minus 15. No Keyshawn Gilbert. Lipsy should be back. Lipscomb, I think they were in the tournament last year, but they lost in the first round. Or maybe that was 2 years ago. Any thoughts here?
They're very similar to Wofford for me. Shoot the lights out. They've got so many great three-point shooters, but again, can they get open? Are they going to get clean looks at the basket?
Yeah.
It's hard to take a team like Lipscomb in this situation. But, they've got shooters. Iowa State's banged up. Iowa State's not like super athletic. They're not fast. I think they're vulnerable, and Lipscomb can shoot it. I mean, if they come out and bang 15, 23s, they've got a shot. But, Iowa State's got more size. They've got more talent.
All right, so nothing strong there on the spread.
Now, what's the spread in that game?
14 and a half.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not taking it, but if I was forced to take it, I might lean Lipscomb. Just because, I mean, Iowa State's so banged up. And I think I like them as a team. I think they're tough, but I mean, you can only take so many injuries, and they've had a lot of them this year.
Yeah, Lipscomb got blown out by Kentucky. They lost to Arkansas by 16 early in the year. Playing good down the stretch though. They've won a bunch of games. Basically, lost one game since the middle of February.
Eastern
only lost one game since the beginning of February.
Yeah, Eastern Kentucky gave them problems. I ended up picking Eastern Kentucky in that conference tournament, and they let me down.
All right, next game, good game here. Memphis versus Colorado State. Everybody's picking Colorado State. I'm taking Memphis.
Yeah, I'm taking Memphis too. I mean, too big, too athletic. Dane Danger should have a field day in this one. I mean, Colorado State has nothing inside. I mean, he should just dominate. PJ Haggerty, scoring machine. Memphis, Tyrese Hunter, I think, is going to be out.
That's what everybody keeps saying. Tyrese Hunter is going to be out, so Memphis is getting in trouble. Colorado State, everybody loves because they won the conference final, and they got Nick Clifford.
I think people overrate this Mountain West Conference. Year after year, they're getting too many teams in for me. They're just, and it's proven out, or they're just losing almost every time.
Yeah, it has proven out. You're right. And Memphis, I feel like is a little bit different this year. I feel like they could do a little bit of damage in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean they're very athletic, big, and they've got some talent. I think PJ Haggard is an NBA player. I think Dane Danger's got a shot at it. He's pretty good. And Colorado State, I love their team play. They move the ball really well, they shoot it really well, but it's tough when you're just much smaller and way less athletic. I mean, they do have Nikkei Clifford, he's a pro. And I mean, if he dominates the game and scores 30 points, then maybe they have a shot. But it's confusing that they're the favorite for me. I don't know.
All right,
It has to be because of the injury.
let's try to fly through these games here. St. Mary's versus Vanderbilt. What's your thoughts on this matchup?
Leaning St. Mary's, but Vanderbilt, tough SEC. They've given a lot of teams some close games. I think they beat a couple really good teams, but they're a different team at home. Also, I mean, they're one of those teams that
They got that
home. They're really good. They go on the road and get blown out. So
they're like the only team with that court where the freaking sideline is like all the way down like that.
Dangerous.
Yeah. St. Mary's on D, second in 3 points allowed, first in 3 points attempted, 12th in free throws attempted, 31st. So they're a good defensive team. Not the best offensive team, but they play sound basketball. I'm going to go with St. Mary's too. After last year, they lost to Grand Canyon in the opening round. I feel like they'll get the win here and they'll advance. So I'm going to take St. Mary's minus 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt's coming in losing a few in a row. I mean, it is the SEC. They are losing to pretty good teams, Texas, Georgia, Arkansas. But that, I don't know. They haven't been very impressive, especially on the road. At home, they've been great. They did have one good win on the road against Texas A&M, but I don't know. They've been competitive. It's toss up, close game for me, but I'm kind of leaning St. Mary's.
Okay, and we saw UNC play tonight. They dominated San Diego State. They're favored by 1.5 against Mississippi, 405 on Friday. So you're taking UNC, obviously.
For sure. Now I'm much more confident after today than I was before. I mean, I knew we were playing better, but that was next level today. That's what I want to see. And
how about the total? 155.5. Lean over, right?
Yeah, I mean, points for sure. I mean, Carolina's scoring at a high rate. They're not a great defensive team. We're kind of there. They're probably a better defensive team than we are, and we're a better offensive team. So.
All right. Grand Canyon versus Maryland. Grand Canyon, athletic as hell. That guard Harrison he's so freaking quick. Grant Foster is a beast athletically. Getting 10 against Maryland.
Yeah, I mean, this is another situation where I really like Grand Canyon, and I wanted to pick them, but tough matchup. I love Maryland, too. I mean, Maryland's defense definitely leaves a lot to be desired, but offensively, they're great. I don't know. I think it's going to be tough for Grand Canyon, but they've got the experience winning a game last year. Same guys back again. I mean, Tyron Grant Foster's had a lot of issues. He's got like heart problems or something, so he's been in and out of the lineup. But I love Maryland. I love Derek Queen. He's one of my favorite players. I mean, he's a top 10 NBA draft guy for me. Maryland's got a lot of size inside. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Grand Canyon is they go to the free throw line like nonstop. 6th in free throw attempts and 8th in free throw attempts, 6th in free throws made. Maryland's defense actually isn't bad. They're top 50 in 3-point made, 3-point percentage, and 59th in field goal percentage. So not bad.
I feel like they're not physical enough. The way they let Michigan just run down the court and win that game in the conference tournament was embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't good. Yeah.
It was horrible. And they just, I don't know. Grand Canyon's a team I wanted to pick. I don't want to beat up on Purdue, but if they were playing Purdue instead of Maryland, I would take Grand Canyon.
I would lean over here, 149. I'm going to take the over, actually, 149.5. And you think Maryland? I'm going to take Grand Canyon with the points.
How many points is it? 10?
10.5. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Grand Canyon's got a shot. You know, they've got a shot to win this game. So, but they could also go the other way. I probably will lay off. I don't mind the bet with the Grand Canyon though. I just think Maryland's ceiling is really high. Like when they're clicking and they're playing defense,
Yeah.
they're one of the better teams in the country. And I think they've got a chance to beat almost anybody when they play like that. When you got a guy, Derek Queen, who for me is the best big man in the country. So,
all right.
that.
I do think it'll be high scoring though, so I like that better than Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I kind of like that too.
All right. Norfolk State against Florida, minus 28.5. If anything, you're taking Florida here.
I mean, just a terrible matchup. You know, I actually like Norfolk State's team. Like, I really do. But they got a better matchup, but there's not really a good matchup with the number one seeds this year. They're all very strong. Florida, I think, is the strongest. So, yeah, I mean, not betting against Florida ever. Do I think they'll cover that? Yeah, I mean, no, Norfolk State. I mean, I like their team. That's a lot of points, but I mean, I love Florida, so I would never bet against Florida. But
let me see here. Norfolk State. Yeah. All right. So if anything, I think we'll lean Florida there.
yeah, I mean, Norfolk
right,
State's a great program. I feel like they're always right there. They're always right there for the winning their conference. I feel like they've been the number one seed in their conference just year after year. They don't always win the tournament, but
Troy versus Kentucky, plus 11.5. Do you know anything about Troy?
I mean, I want to believe in Troy, but again, too small. I mean, Kentucky, huge inside, just 3 7-footers. I took a few of them in our player pool. They got Oway, who, you know, he's not going to be denied. I can't see Troy hanging with them. They're a solid team, but it's a big step up. And Lamont Butler's going to be back.
Yeah,
he's playing. No Jackson Robinson.
His shoulder's probably going to bother him all tournament, but at least they can
Let's
manage it. At least they can manage it in the first game, the first weekend, at least. Probably.
Yeah, they really just need him out there, bring the ball up, and play good defense. Like he doesn't even really need to do anything offensively.
Yeah, Troy, they lost by 20 to Houston. They lost by 19 to Oregon. They lost by 16 to Arkansas. They're won 6 straight. My nephew's name is Troy. He's getting his confirmation this weekend. But I want to pick them, but I think Kentucky. I don't see an upset here.
Yeah, I kind of expected Arkansas State to come out of that conference, and Troy beat them in the championship, which impressive win. But this is another level up. You know, Kentucky's full of pros. I think Oway, Amari Williams, and Andrew Carr, all pros. Kobe Brea, maybe a pro too. You know, they got a lot of talent. And
they're off. They're 182nd. And points scored. Their offensive stats aren't really that good. Troy, I play a team like Kentucky that can definitely score. I think they're in trouble. I think I'd take Kentucky here minus 11.5.
Yeah, I really like their Troy's leading scorer Tatum Connerway. He's really tough, but I mean he's only 6'3". He finishes a lot around the basket in the league he plays in, and it's just going to be tough to come by Kentucky with that size they've got in there. It's just, I don't know. I like Kentucky.
All right, big game here. New Mexico, another Mountain West team. We liked them last year. I liked them last year. And they lost in the first round, most like all the other Mountain West teams. But Dent is a lot better this year. He looks great, but they're playing Marquette, senior laden team, -4. You mentioned earlier, what was the team you were mentioning? Kansas. This is kind of the last run. Same thing with Marquette.
With all these a lot of seniors.
So, I think Marquette takes care of business here, but it's Pitino's son. Maybe Shaka Smart just can't beat the Pitinos.
Well, he's no Rick Pitino here. Remember, he just came from Minnesota where he did nothing at all. So
But he's done pretty good with this New Mexico team.
Yeah, drop down in conference. They got a good program. Donovan Dent, he's great, but look at his matchup, Cam Jones. He's up against one of the other best point guards in the country, who's bigger than him, stronger than him. I think it's a tough matchup. Marquette's got a lot of tough physical defenders to throw at Dent, so I think it'll be hard. They should have an advantage inside. Marquette doesn't really have a post presence. They've got Ben Gold, who would rather be out on the perimeter shooting threes.
And Marquette's a weird team because they shoot like so many threes. Like you said, they don't really have a guy that like scores inside.
Yeah.
If they're not making shots, they just get in trouble.
Yeah, I mean they're very reliant on Cam Jones. I mean he's gonna need to score 20 plus every game for them, but he usually does. So I mean I kind of expect Marquette to get through, but New Mexico's got the tools to pull an upset here.
So you like New Mexico with the points, or are you going Marquette?
I'm taking Marquette. I just like we said, bunch of seniors. Cam Jones is not going to want to go out here in the first round. I think
the game is in Cleveland too, so not too far away.
Yeah, I think he's going to do whatever he's got to do to win this game, and I think their tough physical play is going to win out.
I could see it being a tight game, but yeah, I think Marquette maybe by like 6 or 7 here. But I don't know. Marquette, I feel like they're just a little. Even last year, I feel like they were overrated. Again, they just they shoot so many threes, and like if they're not making them, they're not like the. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that team was better last year. They had Tyler Kolek, who was great for them. So, I think New Mexico's going to have their supporting cast is going to have to show up in this game. I mean, that's going to be the difference. Dent's great. He's going to have a solid game, sure. It's the rest of the guys that are going to determine if they can win this game.
All right, Arizona versus Akron. Akron can score the hell out of the ball for sure. I think I like the over here, 166.5. If Akron's defense, letting up 90 to Toledo, twice basically. In Arizona, they're putting up 100 on Arizona State, 88 on Kansas, 86 on Texas Tech. So I feel like Arizona could score 90, 95 points here. So I like the over 166.5. It's high, but I'm going to take the over. The spread is minus 14.5.
Yeah, Arizona's certainly not a great defensive team. And like you said, both teams can score. I really love Nate Johnson for Akron. He was phenomenal. Like, they probably should have lost their conference championship game. They were up against Miami of Ohio, who was just shooting that lights out. They had a guy I'd never heard of before. Last name was Suter, who was just really impressive. Like, I'd never even heard of him, and I thought he has a chance to be a pro. And he was hitting absolutely everything. And then Nate Johnson just took over the game, and they stole it from him at the last second. But I think Akron's certainly a team that if Arizona doesn't bring their A game, Akron can beat them. But every physical advantage is going to Arizona. They're big. They're super talented. They played Houston tough.
Yeah.
I mean, Arizona should win, but Akron,
I like Arizona to take care of business.
And Akron's got an athletic big in there too. He's only 6'8", but he plays bigger than 6'8".
I feel like Arizona, they have a nice spot to get to Sweet 16 here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've got him in the Sweet 16, and I think as per usual with Arizona, it's Caleb Love. It's all about him. When he plays his best game, plays like a pro, they're very good. But when he's off his game, it really hurts them. And so I think they kind of go as he goes.
All right, yeah. Akron 4th in field goals made, 7th in field goals attempted, 8th in 3 points made. So yeah, this is to me is an over all day long.
Yeah,
and maybe they cover too. It is possible. Akron's definitely can play.
How many points?
14.5.
That's a lot of points. I kind of like Akron with the points.
All right, you want to take Akron?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
I don't think they're winning the game, but 14's a lot. I could see them keeping it close.
All right, Oklahoma, Connecticut, Jeremiah Fears, lottery pick. He's fun as hell to watch. Connecticut, obviously, we talked about them on the show the last 3 weeks. Not as good. This year, obviously, back-to-back champions, and I think Oklahoma can knock them off here. I'm going to take Oklahoma plus the 5.5. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean they've got the lottery pick, like you said. That always gives you a chance when you've got the best player on the floor. But Oklahoma's supporting cast he doesn't have a whole lot of help. He's got Jalen Moore, who's played great this year, but nobody else is really helping out consistently. And I think UConn's a much deeper team. They've got tons of experience. They've got a lot of defenders that can throw at Jeremiah Fears. Hassan Diarra is a really good defender. He's a pain to play against. And then they've got some long perimeter guys they can throw on him too. So, I mean, I think it's got a chance with the better player, but I lean UConn a little bit just because I think their depth and they've got more size. I think Terrace Reed should have a big game. He hasn't played very well. He doesn't even play a ton of minutes lately. I'm not sure what the problem is over there, but he's had a few monster games when he's by far the biggest guy on the floor, and that'll be the case for him in this one. So I lean UConn.
Oklahoma's 6-1 on neutral courts this year. They beat Georgia, they beat Arizona, they beat Louisville, and they beat Providence. So
they lost 2 heartbreakers to Kentucky, 2 buzzer beaters by Oweh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and they also beat Michigan by 1 and Oklahoma State. But yeah, those games were crazy. Oweh obviously went to Oklahoma. Those two buzzer beaters, both those shots were insane. I mean, like so off balance, such hard difficulty.
Yeah, just running full speed too. Just
full speed, ridiculous athlete. He's gonna be fun as hell to watch. I actually took him. I wasn't planning on taking him, but he was just kind of sitting there, and I was like, all right, it's time.
Great pick. Yeah, I mean, I felt forced into taking a couple Kentucky guys too. I took Amari.
Yeah, I was trying to balance it out, like taking, stacking teams and then taking scores,
Yep. Me too. I haven't fared as well as I'd hoped in these things in these last couple of years.
Tough. It's tough. That one dude, Bob Foreman, he's won that thing like 5 times.
Yeah, Jordan won last year, right?
Did Jordan win last year?
I think he did, and then he won the NFL this year. He's good at these things.
Oh yeah, Jordan's definitely good at these things for sure.
He's been real busy though. I'm hoping he's off his game this year.
He says he's got a girlfriend now, so he said that's occupied all his time. He's dating some Brazilian chick. He was just in Florida with her, and he says he's behind everything.
He's in Florida. He didn't tell us.
He said he was in Orlando for like a day, and then he was in. He said he wanted to meet up, but he was like with her family for like 2-3 days, and he have a time to really escape. But he said next time he's gonna come out.
Yeah,
he was in Deerfield Beach. He said, "All right, 2 games left, man. Michigan State against Bryant. We like Bryant's size. My brother went there, but they play kind of stupid. You could tell, but they are big. They got some big dudes.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I've wrote in my cheat sheet that if you're looking to take a 2 seed getting beat by 15, that's your game for sure. I mean,
so you think Bryant had the chance to pull the upset here?
Yeah. Well, I mean. Yeah, I mean they're huge. Their smallest guy is 6'6". I think they've got a 6'11" guy in there. They've got Earl Timberlake. I think he transferred from maybe Miami.
Yeah, they're big and strong for sure.
He was like a high recruit who just didn't work out for him at the bigger schools, so he ended up there. But they've got a lot of talent, a lot of size. I mean, it looks great against a team like Maine, who they beat in their conference championship. That's they dominated them. But Michigan State's a different animal. I think Bryant's going to have to play harder. They're going to have to be more physical than they're used to. And because Michigan State is a tough, beat you up kind of team. They're a great rebounding team, but this team's huge, and they're going to have the size advantage on Michigan State. So,
yeah, Michigan State 8th in defensive rebounds.
What's the spread in this game?
But the spread is 17.5.
I mean, I like Bryant to cover that.
All right.
I think they could give Michigan State a lot of trouble with that size. I mean,
so your last 2 picks are Akron plus 14 and Bryant plus 17.5.
It's going to be all about the defensive effort for Bryant. They're going to have to rebound harder than they've ever rebounded. They're not going to be able to just stand there and have it come to them like they're probably used to with this size advantage. Like Michigan State will box you out super hard, and Like that's my concern with Brian is that they're going to get beat up physically because they're just not ready for that. But
By the way, Phil Martelli's son there. Remember St. Joe's made the Final Four that year with Jameer Nelson and Delonte West. Remember that?
yeah, for sure. They were
And then you
great.
see
Weren't they?
Delonte West on the streets, but I think Mark Cuban picked him up, right? And like he kind of helped him turn his life around a little bit.
I heard something about that. It's
Yeah.
sad to hear.
Jamie says, "Is Ohio State that bad? They couldn't make the tournament. I figured Akron is less marketable. Well, Akron won their conference tournaments; they're automatically in. But Ohio State, they were right on the bubble. They just
weren't consistent. They'd have like a big win and then just have a just troubling loss. Just didn't make any sense. They lost to Iowa, Indiana, Northwestern, Nebraska. I mean, there's too many losses against mediocre teams.
Yeah, Jamie's still hanging with us, man. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. All right, last game of this Thursday, Fridays. First round, Oregon versus Liberty. Liberty 10-10. This game is in Seattle. So definitely helps Oregon.
The home game for Oregon.
That definitely helps Oregon a lot. There was another game, I think. Oh, yeah. Arizona's also playing in Seattle. So that helps Arizona, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
Although, they're kind of going from the south, all the way from the south to the north. But it's good to be on the same coast at least. And Grand Canyon is also playing in Seattle against Maryland. So that actually helps Grand Canyon a little bit.
Yeah. Had the same neighborhood, kind of. West Coast.
Vanderbilt.
I really love Liberty. I love the way they play. It's just beautiful basketball. Pass the ball well, shoot the lights out. I mean, they've got guys with like unlimited range.
Who's that?
Liberty.
Oh, Liberty. Okay. Yeah.
But my problem is, Oregon's got that 7-footer inside. They've got a bunch of other big dudes. It's like it's hard. It's hard to compete when you're just so much smaller. But if anyone can do it, Liberty looks great.
Liberty was in the Sweet 16 a couple of years ago, weren't they?
Yeah, potentially.
I'm sure they were. I know. I remember they won their first round game. This is a while ago, but I think they made it to the Sweet 16 a few years ago.
Well, Liberty really shouldn't be here. I mean, Kennesaw State had them on the ropes in the semifinals. That's who I actually picked to win the conference tournament was Kennesaw State, and they had at least a 15-point lead in that game at one point, and they blew it. Liberty just started draining 25-footers just over and over again. Came all the way back, won by 2.
Liberty beat Kansas State on a neutral court. Beat McNeese on a neutral court, and yeah, they beat Kennesaw State 81-79. They also lost to them before. They beat them twice this year, 76-68. I guess Kennesaw was the second best team in that conference.
I think they were actually the 4 seed in the tournament, but I mean, I thought those small conferences are weird. It's like it's amazing how
this is Conference USA. I mean, that's always been a pretty decent conference. I mean, I think a lot of the teams have changed, but like historically, it's been a pretty good conference.
It's amazing how often like a 4 or 5 seed, by the time the conference tournament rolls around, they're playing the best basketball out of everybody in the conference. It's like it's so hard to figure out. And I don't really watch these smaller teams enough to have a great feel for it.
Liberty is pretty efficient on both sides of the ball. 6th in field goal percentage, 8th in 3-point percentage, 13th in 3 points made. And then on defense, they're 19th in field goal percentage, 3rd in 3-point percentage. So this seems like a pretty sound 12-5 to me. I mean, I know they got to play in Oregon. It's going to be almost like a home game for them.
I mean, I think if you took size and athleticism out of the question, Liberty would be a Final Four team. I mean, they play really well, move the ball really well. They're smart. They shoot the lights out, but they're just undersized. And unfortunately, basketball is a lot about size.
Yeah, but it's not. Like I said, like I pointed out earlier, like you got to Baltimore, Maryland beating Purdue. Like, it's not always the
Oh,
case.
yeah.
Sometimes smart teams they make shots, they play good D, they don't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is possible. The one thing they got going against them is they got to travel across the country. Oregon's going to be home, but Oregon, I don't know. I feel like they're good. I like Shellstad, but I don't feel like this is one of his better teams.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um,
Not a great team.
yeah,
It's
they're
just
not really.
that big guy in the middle that just troubles me.
But they did start to play. They did start that typical of Dana Altman. They started to play well down the stretch. But again, they beat Northwestern, Rutgers, Iowa, Wisconsin in overtime, Indiana, Washington, USC, Indiana again, and then they lost to Michigan State by 10. But they were playing better down the stretch. Then they did beat Alabama this year, Oregon as well, and San Diego State, both on neutral courts, and Texas A&M. So really, 3 really good wins there. So yeah, I mean, Oregon should take care of business here, but this could be a really tight game. So I'm going to take Liberty plus the points.
I like it. I mean, I like this Liberty team a lot. I'm concerned about the size disadvantage, but.
So do you like Oregon or Liberty on the spread?
I'm going to lay off the spread because I like Liberty's ability to play basketball better, but I love Oregon's size and athleticism better. So it's tough call for me.
All right. Let's recap the picks real quick. Then we'll break down the bracket a little bit. Josh has Louisville, Clemson, Kansas, Arkansas, over 146, Missouri, -6, UCLA, Michigan.
Michigan bet of the day.
What the hell? Oh yeah, that's his best bet.
If I'm wrong on that, I'm questioning.
I have something here. Uncle plus 14.5. I don't know what the hell I wrote there. Uncle
plus 14.5.
Yeah, Bama -23.5. Memphis.
That was probably Akron, right? Plus 14.
Oh yeah, maybe Akron. That's probably right. Yeah. Oh no, I have Akron. I don't know what the hell this one is. Uncle. I'll try to find it. UNC -1.5. Akron plus 14. Bryant.
I bet it was UNCW, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. That's right. UNC Wilmington.
Yeah.
Okay. So Akron plus 14. Bryant plus 17. Then I have Xavier, Creighton, High Point, Montana over, McNeese, BYU, Arkansas in the over 146. Yale plus 7. Drake plus 6.5. UCLA -5.5. UNC over 143.5. Baylor plus 1. Baylor over 144.5. Bama -23.5. Memphis plus 2. St. Mary's -4.5. Grand Canyon plus 10 and the over 149. Did you like that Grand Canyon over too?
Yeah, I do. I don't like Maryland's defense. I know they're capable of it, but I don't.
Yeah.
Like too often they're just standing around and just can't do that.
All right, Marquette. -4, Arizona over 166.5, Oklahoma plus 5.5, and Liberty plus 7.5. All right, man. So let's pick. I guess we'll pick our Elite 8 in each, and then we'll get into the Final Four. Let me bring the bracket up real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to make it less boring on the Elite 8 picks, but I just picked a lot of chalk. 1 versus 2. In 3 out of the 4 brackets, the one difference being I've got UNC making the Elite 8 to play Auburn. So I've got all the 1 seeds. I've got 3 of the 2 seeds and an 11.
So in the South, you have Auburn versus who?
Carolina.
Okay.
Auburn versus UNC.
All right. I think I have and mine's boring too. I usually like to take upsets.
Yeah. It's more fun to take upsets, but this year the top teams are.
I'll go with Marquette. I don't really feel great about them, but I'll go with Auburn Marquette there.
Yeah, I was leaning either Carolina, Marquette, or Michigan State, and I wanted to see how Carolina looked in this game, and I liked what I saw. So,
okay, how about the West? Florida St. John's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chalk.
Yeah, I think that's the most likely scenario, though.
Yeah, it's hard to really see anything else happening there. Like I don't know.
Florida, I think, is a shoo-in for the Elite 8, and I think St. John's could take them out, but they should beat them too. But St. John's could beat them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think Texas Tech could have given St. John's a battle if they were healthy, but they're just too banged up. I don't think they can do it.
All right. Let's go to the East.
More chalk, Duke, Alabama.
Just bring the bracket up real quick.
Just wish I could pick anyone else, but I think even if Cooper Flagg didn't even play, Duke would make the Elite Eight. Like, they're still that good.
Yeah, I have Duke, Bama as well. I don't see any. I just don't see anybody beating those. Like Bama is really good.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to see either one of them even getting challenged.
And everything I've read it sounds like Nelson. He could play, but
they said he's probably going to sit out the first game. And play the
I think he'll
game.
be fine for the second game. So that's huge.
But they really don't even need him for either one of those games.
No.
They just got so much depth. Like they'll just open up an opportunity for somebody else to come in there and put up. I mean,
I could see maybe Arizona beating Duke, and maybe BYU. You know, if they get really hot from three or something, possibly, or St. Mary's maybe if they get in their bag. But yeah, I mean, it's most likely it's gonna be Duke, Bama. Yeah,
Duke's just been really impressive. I mean, I think Duke and Arizona played earlier this year, and Duke won by 14, 69-55, and I think Duke has only improved from there. They're just playing lockdown defense. Their offense,
that's the thing about Auburn. Like they got the number 1 overall seed, but they seem like other teams got better and they just kind of stayed the same. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
I think that kind of goes to their team because those like Bruma doesn't really have much. Like he's just kind of who he is. You know?
It almost seems like they've fallen off a little bit, and my guess for that is it's playing time issue, and I don't know, but like Tahad Pettiford to me is a surefire NBA player, and he's not starting. He hasn't been in there in some of the big moments and some of the biggest games.
Seems like he's getting a little bit more playing time though of late. I've seen him in there. He's been missing some shots, but yeah, I mean maybe they could bump him up, but I think. You know, maybe it's just Auburn got, they just got so used to winning, they just had a little bit of a letdown at the end. That is possible.
I mean, it's a really tough conference too. I mean, these other teams are no slouches here.
But you could argue they're the 4th best team in the SEC.
Yeah, right now you'd say they are. I mean, they just lost to Tennessee, and certainly Florida's ahead of them, and you could say Alabama's ahead of them.
I don't know. They don't take the last 10 games into their metrics, which is stupid. I don't understand why they don't do that.
I agree. It should be more about how you're playing now. It's much more of an important factor.
All right, so then Houston, Tennessee in the Midwest is what you got.
Yeah, and that's the toughest game to pick for me. I think those teams are a mirror image of each other, and it's going to come down to who shoots it better on that day.
Maybe Gonzaga or Georgia could take down Houston, I guess.
I just don't see it. I don't
see it either. I'm not going to rule it out.
Yeah,
completely.
Just that physicality they play with is just different, man.
Yeah, and Tennessee, I don't know who the hell's going to. Maybe Kentucky could beat them.
Yeah, Kentucky certainly could. If they were full strength, I think even Texas probably has the ability. They may. Did they play? I'm sure they played this year. I want to see what happened in that game.
Texas versus who? Tennessee?
Yeah. They probably played each other, right? Yeah, they did. Tennessee won 74-70. And then they played again. So Tennessee beat them both games. Beat them 83-72. The conference tournament. So.
Yeah, I mean Auburn could lose their second round game to Louisville Creighton. I could see that happening. Maybe Michigan State. Michigan State could go down to Marquette. Definitely.
Yeah, I think Michigan State is definitely a candidate to get beat early. And like we said, Bryant. I mean, I think Bryant's got a shot at it.
Or Marquette beating them for sure.
Yeah, see Marquette beat them. I see Carolina
or
beat
UNC
them.
maybe UNC.
Yeah.
All right. Final Four.
Yeah, probably a bunch of 1 seeds. Certainly Auburn, at least 3 1 seeds, and then
Auburn,
Houston,
Florida, Duke, and Houston.
Yeah, so I've got Florida, Duke, Auburn, and then I still haven't chosen between Houston or Tennessee yet, but I don't know.
I'm going Houston.
Probably leaning Houston, especially since I've heard Juwan Roberts is probably playing.
Yeah, he's going to be back. It sounds like.
Yeah, so I'd probably take them too. I trust them a little bit more. I love Tennessee too, but I just
All right,
Uzan,
your final is Florida versus who?
Florida and Duke.
All right, I have
I just,
Florida Houston. That's where we
I think,
defer.
yeah, yeah. I'm taking the two teams whose offense look the best and their defense is pretty solid too. Duke's got a great defense. Florida's playing much better defense these days too.
Yeah,
They weren't
there's
always playing great defense, but they are
there's
now.
3 teams that are top 10 in defense and offense on KenPom. I think Florida, Duke, and Houston are the 3.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, you'd expect that to result in them going pretty deep. So I
All right,
might
and
pick all 1 seeds this year, which is super boring. I'm not
I
sure that
know I never
I
do
don't
it
think
either. I never do it either, but I feel like it's this year. It's going to
yeah,
happen. I don't know.
yeah, I don't think I've ever picked all 1 seeds, but this might be the time to do it.
It's happened recently a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think it would happen even more, but
Yeah. No. Yep. All right. Who's your champion? Florida or Duke?
I'm going Florida. I can't allow myself to pick Duke. The Cooper flag injury, makes it a lot easier for me to take Florida, and feel better about it because, I mean, he's obviously not going to be 100%. I mean, he'll be okay to play, but you don't bounce back that fast from a sprained ankle. I'm sure
Yeah.
they've got all the best technology to help him out with that healing process, but.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it'll be pretty far. It'll be like 3 weeks removed, or almost a month. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that affects.
If you're playing a little injured too, I mean, that ups the chances to re-injure yourself. And I just think that's the little crack that gives Florida a bigger edge to me. I mean, I think I would probably take Florida anyways. I think they've got more experience. They've got a few more options. Their depth's better.
Yeah.
They're just more veterans, and I think that experience would.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to coaching. Like, is Golden? Is he as good as Shire? Is Golden as good as you know?
Time will tell on that one, but I think they're
Kelvin
obviously
Sampson. So
they're both doing a great job. I think. Obviously.
I mean, I don't think he's obviously as good as Kelvin Sampson, but he just has a better team overall and more depth and talent.
Yeah, I mean, they're both playing so well, Duke, and their offenses just look so good. Both of them just move the ball really well. They knock down their open shots. Yeah. They've got everything, and I mean, Duke has the consensus #1 overall pick in the draft, so they've got the best player. But Florida, to me, just too many options.
Yeah, and I could see Houston winning it all too. I really could. I feel like
Kelvin
Sampson could have, and maybe Rick Barnes gets it done. I don't think Tennessee though. I feel like Houston's gonna beat Tennessee. I really do.
Yeah, and I just think Houston's limitations on offense. I mean, this is a better offensive team than they usually have, but
they're banging shots. They're banging threes.
Yeah, they are. Sharp's really shooting it well. Uzan playing like a pro. Cryer, but the inside, Roberts is banged up, and he's definitely their best guy. But those other guys are not much of a threat offensively. So that's the difference.
They're not really.
Them and a team like
Roberts isn't that great offensively either.
And that's the difference between Florida and these other teams is their big guys are a big threat to score. They can pass. They can handle the ball.
The way they'd have to be Florida is they'd have to get into Richard and Clayton and just kind of disrupt them and have them have an off shooting night, and then they could beat them.
Yeah, it's going to have to be on the defensive end, which they'll bring it. But
yeah, I'd love to see Houston win it.
Florida just seems like they've got the answers to everything. It just seems like there's not much you can do against them to slow them down.
But you got to factor in the coaching. So, but yeah, I'm probably gonna pick Florida to win it all as well, or Houston. I mean, it's gonna be 50-50 for me. But
I'm a little sad that Florida played so well down the stretch because I've liked them for a few weeks as my favorite, and now lots of people are saying it.
Well, you knew it was coming once they won the SEC, and we called it 2 weeks ago. We were saying it.
Yeah, but just a couple weeks ago, nobody was really talking about Florida in the whole thing.
Yeah. No, I was listening to some people the other day, like, "Oh, Florida, you think they're going to win the SEC?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I loved them a little bit early, but now it's become obvious the way they dominated the SEC tournament.
Yeah, they definitely look like the most impressive team. But Houston's close, and Duke too as well. So it's one of those three teams. I think is going to win it for sure. All right, man. This was great. We broke down every game of the opening, Thursday, the first round. We dropped our Final Four, our Elite Eight Final Four, and our champions.
Our 1 hour, our 1 hour turned into 2.
Yeah, well, I guess you're talking about freaking 16 games. Or
Might as well, man.
games,
this is the 32
time. Games.
This is the time for it. If we're not going to do it now, when are we?
Yeah, Rothstein says we sleep in May. So
yeah, I'm going to be up for another 2 hours working on this bracket.
Jamie says he's got Tennessee versus Bama, with Bama making the finals. Bama could get in the finals too.
Yeah, I mean they've got that Final Four experience.
They definitely could get in the finals.
Mark Sears, super clutch in the tournament. Yeah. I love LeBaron Philon. I took him in our little draft. I love him.
Yeah.
I mean,
he says fun talks. All right, guys, make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. You could follow Josh at Hoop Visions. Josh is
hoopvisions.blogspot.com. That's where I'll be posting this thing first. So, some of it will be out tonight.
All right, yeah, check that out, and then on his site or fffaceoff.com. But again, we'll see you guys next week. We break down the opening weekend, the first and second round, and we'll make our picks, as we get into the Sweet 16, Elite 8, and then we'll be back for Final Four, and then we'll recap it all. So thanks, Josh, for joining me tonight. Take care, everybody. We will see you soon. Enjoy the games.
All right.
Yo, Vintage got the boom back.
Here we have fantastic wealth, and we have the technological possibility of making everybody on Earth